Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Smoking and Joking. We're at episode 50, halfway to 100. Today, we have an ultra special guest. Aubree is the founder of Fight Therapy Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to bringing jujitsu to survivors of sexual and domestic violence, foster youth, children in the judicial system, gang members, and underprivileged youth. Having grown up in the judicial system herself, Aubree faced immense challenges, especially after the tragic loss of her mother. However, her introduction to jiu-jitsu in Sao Paulo, Brazil, transformed her life. Inspired by the discipline and empowerment jiu-jitsu provided, she is on a mission to share these benefits with others. Aubree aims to expand our outreach to rehabs, group homes, foster centers, parole officers, and schools across the country, helping individuals find strength and resilience through martial arts. You guys go ahead and give her a hand. So, Aubree, would you like to be called Mrs. Child, Miss Child, Aubree? How would you like to be
Aubree
referred
is
to for the
great. Aubree is great.
great seeing you again?
So good to know.
I'm pretty sure you kicked my butt a few times, or at least kicked me a few times at Dan Henderson's gym.
I feel like no,
If
somebody beat me up.
nah, I learned
That
to just
sounded
let.
so bad, by the way. I
Yeah, no,
always have
I
to
never
like
beat
make a
up.
context every time like I'm on a podcast or like I meet with someone, they're like, oh, that sounded really bad. And I was like, yeah, we should give that some context. Every time I'm like, God, that sounds so bad.
Yeah, there was it was Dan Henderson's athletic and fitness center, and they usually pair men and women together. And my strategy was just to get kicked and punched by the women. I don't like to fight back. I got daughters, and so I let
No,
them kick and
I
punch me
loved
too.
I loved training with you. I prefer to train with men. I love training with women, but I prefer to train with men just because I'm a little more aggressive and so I prefer that because men don't complain when I'm aggressive. Women tend to. So, it's never it's personal. No, I don't know.
It's personal.
I
Do
don't
do you remember Isaiah's? Remember our buddy Isaiah's?
Yes. Yes.
So there was a night he was doing a Muay Thai class, and he paired me with this teenage girl. And for like 3 rounds, I just let her kick and punch on me. The next day I came in, he's like, "Hey man, I got yelled at." I'm like, "Why?" He said her mom was upset. Her mom said she got beat up by you. I'm like, it was the other way around. He said, "I know. I told her mom. Theo just let her kick and punch him the whole time." I'm like, "All right, man. I'm next time pair me with a guy. Don't pair me with no more females."
Yeah.
But let's get into how you've been, Aubree. It's been a long time. Like I don't think I've seen you for like 5 years. How you been?
I, life is lifing. So
Life is life.
life is lifing. We are, we've made a lot of headway in the last. I guess the foundation is 5 years old. Yeah, 5 years old, 2019. So we're just continuing. We just got in with a huge organization. They're called Olive Crest, and I mean that is a
Mhm.
dream come true for me. They serve over 3,000 kids a month. They've been human trafficked, foster youth, underprivileged kids, group homes.
Ooh.
Like it's a huge deal. So I'm so excited. So our efforts are paying off for sure.
So, what made you want to open this nonprofit? Tell us a little bit, if you would like to, about your backstory and how you found yourself running this very important nonprofit.
All right. So I'm actually a professional singer, and I was pursuing a career in singing. Had reached some pretty incredible milestones that were my goals: Madison Square Garden and the Grammys. Those were my two, you know, main goal. Thank you. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself. Um, and my mom had taken her life, and I got introduced to a jiu-jitsu class in Brazil. My dream was to always go to Brazil. So after my mom passed away, my then husband was like, let's go to Brazil, kind of to try and make me feel better. Great idea. And uh, my friend was like, would you like to go to a jiu-jitsu class with me? And I was like, you can't go to Brazil and not do a jiu-jitsu class, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, so I went, and they were like, "Man, you have the heart of a fighter. You should do this when you go home." And I loved it. And I went home, and I couldn't process what I was going through. And I'm really good at processing like what I'm going through. Like I'm really good at like, okay, this hurts. Why does this hurt? Blah blah blah. I could not process what I was going through. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't. It was crazy. And I wanted to check myself into a hospital. And I was like, I don't want to go because then they're going to deem me as crazy. I'm not crazy. Like, I just need someone to like help me figure this out. Like, give me some tools. And my friend had called me at that time when I was kind of like at my lowest, like getting ready to just call the hospital, call the hospital and be like, I just need to come and sit in a padded room. Not because I'm going to hurt myself or anything. I just didn't know. I didn't know how to do what was going on. And he's like, come to the gym with me. And at the time, I was a little squishy. And he was like, I was like, do I look like I like to go to the gym? And he was like, it's not that. And it was Dan's gym. It was Dan Henderson Athletic Fitness Center. And I went, and I started with the Muay Thai. And then Poncho got me to jump on the mats, and I never left. I went every single day, and I remember thinking, man, this is like Prozac. Like this is like what everybody talks about, what like therapy does for them, or like or medication, because I'm taking medication, but like Valium or all these things. Like I was like, I feel like that's what this is doing. Like how they experience, how they explain that. That's what I feel like this is doing for me. And so I started like being funny and mocking people, which I don't know if that's funny, but on social media, and being like, my therapist is better than yours, and it's cheaper. It's only $100 a month or whatever it was, $79 a month, and I get to see her every day, and I can go whenever I want. And like I just started doing all these things and saying all these things, and then finally I was like, I would like talk about it, and I was like, it's like therapy. It's like fight therapy. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. So then I went back to like my childhood. I got put on probation when I was 11, had six probation officers by the time I was 16. And they put me under every program under the sun. And there's a lot. Like, I think I maybe didn't go to like two. And, and I just, none of them worked. And I was like, and I would always be like, why did they put us in these? Like, these are not helpful at all. And I went instantly back to my childhood, and I was like, I have to get this court ordered. I know that this will change kids' lives. I know that this is the answer. I know it. Like, maybe not for all of them, but for the majority of those kids that are like me, that's going to be the answer. And I was like the discipline, because one time I was on the mats, and Pancho was like, you need to learn your place, or you can get the fuck out of my gym and train somewhere else. And it was the first time I ever wanted to be somewhere. Like I loved
Yeah.
my aggression was finally celebrated and not put down. Like everyone always tries to make, even in life now, right now, currently, they're trying to make my aggression a negative thing. And it's not. The reason why I'm so successful is because of who I am. That aggression is a beautiful thing. Anger is not a bad thing. How we expose or expel it, is the negative part. And it was the first time that like everything that everyone had always made my whole life about me that was negative was being celebrated. And I didn't want to go. And I was like, I better figure out how to have some respect, because I didn't have any respect. And I still struggle a little bit at 41 years old. I was abused by a lot of people who were supposed to protect me, a lot of authority, because I didn't have anyone defending me. I didn't have a family defending me. And so they took a lot of advantage of me. And I see it even now today when people don't have people that defend them, or they don't have someone on their team behind them. Um, they People take advantage of that. And that's when children get molested, and that's when they get abused. And that's when, because people want to use their power to say like, oh, I'm better than you, and oh, I need to feel better about myself, so I'm going to take advantage of this one, and they have no one fighting for them.
Yeah.
And so I have done that, and I think it's been about 2 months now, and it took us 7.5 years. But I just got to present our program to probation, and they loved it, and we are one step closer. The hardest part is done. We have addressed probation, the judge, and now we have one more step, and it's basically like paperwork, and um, and we will be a program, and we will be.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, I was told by a fighter that he had tried, a famous fighter that he has been trying for 23 years, and he couldn't do it. And I was told that a very famous family in jiu-jitsu has tried to do it, and they couldn't do it either. So the reason why I believe I was able to, I mean, I'm a believer in God, and I think that this is definitely my calling, but um, I think it is different when it's your story, and I am that child. So I knew what I was looking for. I knew who I needed to talk to. I knew, I was able to share my experience. And, I'm not coming in defending a child who I don't know anything about. I am that child. So I think maybe that was kind of why I was a little more successful in getting it done. But the beautiful thing is it doesn't matter who does it as long as it's being done, and it will
Yeah.
benefit everybody, because anybody who has that heart will now be able to say, oh, I accept those kids at the gym. And
Yeah.
now, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um so it benefits everybody, and I'm honored to be the person to make it happen. So we start with one, and
That's
now we have to go
amazing.
around the world and do all the others.
What's amazing about that, when you talk about your story, you remind me of one of my favorite fighters. His name is Mike Tyson. I think Floyd Mayweather is the second greatest boxer. I think Sugar Ray Robinson is the best. But when it comes to fighters, I think Mike Tyson, he embodies everything a fighter should be. And Mike Tyson, he
Hmm.
wanted to be a criminal. He wanted to be a professional criminal. But
Hmm.
if it wasn't for a probation officer taking him as a 13-year-old and putting him in boxing, we wouldn't have the Mike Tyson we have today. If you look at some of his interviews, he said, all the guys I looked up to were criminals. He said, I wanted to be a professional criminal. I wanted to be the best criminal ever. But through boxing, he found out that if if you kind of like me, when you go to a check mat session or when you go and train, afterwards, all your anger, everything's out, and you have this rush of endorphins, and you just want peace. I would go home after being at Dan Henderson's fitness center, and I would wash dishes or I'll fold laundry because I'm just in like a zen mode after rolling around the mat, kicking punching bags, sparring. So you provide like a very, very
Fantastic.
valuable resource for people who need to have great avenues to drive the anger down. Because you're right, anger, people should be angry. If you
Yeah.
look at some of the things that happen in this world, extreme poverty, if you look at homelessness, if you look at domestic violence, if you look at molestation, that stuff should make you angry. And you said something
Good.
important. You said how you handle your anger. It could be positive or it could be negative. So I like that. We at Vet 365, this is a Vet 365 production, Smoking and Joking. In 2019, 2018, we used to take guys through anger management class, and we learned in anger management class, anger is a secondary emotion. You should find out why you're angry, and it's okay to be angry. You should express your anger in good ways. Thank God, because that helped me not have to go through the same type of DV classes those guys went through or anything.
Yeah.
So you bring up a lot of important points. I want to take you back. I think it was 2017. No, it was 2016. One of my friends committed suicide.
Yeah.
And I walked into the gym and I was bummed out. I don't know if you remember this, but I always remember this when I think about you. And
Don't make me
I
cry.
was, it's okay. We call it
Okay.
eye sweat. Eye sweat is okay.
Okay. Okay.
I was distraught. And you came up to me, we started talking, and I told you my buddy committed suicide. It was the 2015 turn of 2015, 2016. And we started talking. I told you this is the last guy I would think on the face of the planet would commit suicide. He was the man's man. Ladies loved him. And then you shared with me some of the trauma you went through when you were younger. And you told me, even though you weren't in the military, you can identify with the post traumatic stress military guys go through. When I was talking with Bob about getting you on the show, I said, we got to get her on the show because not everyone's traumatic event is the same, but I think we can all relate to each other when it comes to the post traumatic stress that everybody deals with. So I just wanted to give you a shout out on that. That's why you're so important in my life because not a lot of people can relate to what we go through in the military, seeing our friends die, then getting out the military, and then our friends taking their life, and then us having to deal with the depression of growing up in an already chaotic world and then going to the military, more chaos, then getting out, and then more chaos. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Even if you don't remember that time, I remember it. And
Yeah.
that's you
So
remember that? That's
I do. And
yeah.
my mom committed suicide in 2015, and and um and so I do remember that it was like, around that time that, and it was hard for me at that time to talk about it, but it is like we do think that I have a friend right now, and he's really fighting himself, and he's one of the greatest fighters, and he's just fighting himself, and he's holding himself back, and he told me, he goes, you don't understand, and I was like, I promise I do, but the fact that you don't think that I understand is why you're not willing to listen to me.
Mhm.
And how do we learn to there's a reason why an artist can write one song and billions of people relate to it, because they talk about, even though it's personal to them, they talk about the emotions. It doesn't matter what the puzzle piece is,
Yeah,
right? Like, if we
yeah,
can separate the fact, because I used to do that. I'm guilty of it myself. You don't understand. You don't. I just read a book about dads, and it is. Oh, I don't know where I just went. Sorry, I got a call. A book about a book about dads, and it is second to the Bible. It's the best book I've ever written or read in my life. Written, oh my gosh, and he says, like, it, I was trying to pick it apart because that's what I do. Like, I was like, okay, this guy knows nothing about trauma and blah 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 blah, and then I was like, who better than to talk about being a good father than a good father?
yeah.
And that is like, I caught myself doing it again, being like, you don't get it. And really, that's not true. Like, people do get it. The story might be the puzzle pieces might be different, but like the feeling ultimately is the same.
I like what you were saying about the father. I take being a father very seriously. I got 7 daughters. Still trying to have the son. Still, I'm African, and in our culture, things get passed on to the man. Plus, I'm the last. I'm the only son of an only son. So if I don't have a son, then our family last name ends.
Um,
Trying to adopt, but still, I want to have a son, at least three. That's my that's my goal. And when you're talking about being able to relate to someone that writes a song, ability being able to relate to someone that writes a song. In this human experience, I've noticed that you can't really group an individual because even if I say, and I'm not a religious person, but let's say I'm Buddhist or let's say I'm Christian, my own individual experience with my spirituality is going to be different than someone that's sitting in the pew next to me or someone that's meditating next to me. And all too often, we want to judge people according to the group instead of take time to have that individual connection. My oldest daughter, she she is a millennial or a Gen Z, and she subscribes to the theory of where you can pick your own pronouns, your own genders. And I told her, I said, baby, you're 19. Your mind might change when you're 40, but I love you. I can't speak for everyone else. I love you and I know you. And the fear of the group keeps us from experiencing the one-on-one connection with the individual, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So that's why I like songwriters. I'm not, I'm a proud hetero man, but I listen to artists that aren't. I
Yeah.
listen to artists from every walk in life because their individual experience sometimes crossroads with my experience, and that takes me back to the conversation we had when my buddy died. So I like that you said that. I like that you said that.
Well, it's
So
true.
let's, yeah. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No, it's true. I think that just to say echo exactly what you said is too often we focus, and again, I've been guilty of it. I have judged an entire group based on some experiences that I've had, and it took me a long time to be like, that is not fair. Not everyone feels that way in that group. Not everyone acts that way in that group. Like, and for me, for to heal me, that took moving to California, and in my personal experience with what I was, I judged a religious group because of where I was raised, and realized that that's not even like close to how people from that religious group act in other places, and I'm going through it now. I have, a really poor situation with a cultural group that, has rocked my world. And people are like, I bet you hate them now. And I was like, no, why, why? That's our
Yeah,
problem, right? Like,
yeah,
even with jujitsu, like, people be like, oh, they have a bad coach. And so they hate the sport. And I'm like, mm-mm, find another gym. There's going to be someone who, like, never judge the thing,
yeah,
like everyone's, everyone is their own being. And like, and of course there are things that, like are similarities and things, just culturally, religiously, whatever. But it doesn't mean that every person feels that way or agrees with that thing, or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we've got to stop doing that. Like, we've got to stop doing that as people.
social media
Oof.
is what does it.
Yeah.
We
And I'm
went, I
guilty.
think it was,
I'm not being a hypocrite. I've done it myself. And that's when, like I told you, because I got in a lot of trouble growing up and I would always say it was because I didn't have a father figure in my life. And so anyone who tried to help me, I would always say, you don't understand what it's like. Like, you can't possibly help me because you don't get what it is like to not have a dad. But then I
yeah,
started learning, like, maybe their mom was absent, or maybe like, or maybe their dad was like in the house, but he was super abusive, and they were like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, you know, you you don't allow people to help you with their experience when you tell them they don't get it. You don't allow that. And that is, I think that's something that you allowed me to do. You allowed me, you didn't stop me because I'm a female. You didn't stop me because I'm a veteran. You were willing to hear me out and listen to my human experience and value it and say, oh shit, she does get it. You know what I mean? But that takes a lot of mature, what is it called? Mature, intelligent. What is that? I just heard the word. Someone said intellectual maturity or something. But to not separate me and say she doesn't get it because she's a girl or she's never been a veteran or whatever. You were willing to hear my human experience and give it value, and that means a lot to me, so thank you.
well, shout out to the jujitsu, shout out to fight therapy, going to Dan Henderson's uh, fitness, Dan Henderson's Fitness Athletic Center. I always forget that acronym, but
Dan
going to
Henderson
Hendo,
Athletic Fitness Center.
Athletic Fitness Center.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I found in the infantry, in the Marine Corps, there's a bunch of different jobs. They call them military occupational specialties. If you're lucky, you get into the infantry. In the infantry, you really have a different Marine Corps experience because you belong to the Marine Corps 24/7. It's not like the other jobs where it's 7 to 3 and 9 to 5. This job, you're sometimes living in the hole with your roommate. When we deploy to combat zones, any time of the day you could die. We had a guy that was sleeping and we got mortared, and a little piece of mortar went over these barriers through the doors and hit him in the eye. So you have a real close camaraderie, you have a real close brotherhood. I remember we locked a guy in a cage naked and we threw carrots at him. This is my senior Marine, and he was laughing, eating the carrots. He's like, "You guys suck. This is just like high school." I called this guy, I go visit him. Shout out Macintosh. It's just a closeness. When you get out the military, you really don't experience this closeness in your job, in school, even in your own family. So going to Hendos, I kind of felt like I was back in the infantry. Crazy guys like Sean Strickland, crazy guys like
I'm so
Smiling
proud of
Sam.
you.
I'm proud of him. We don't see eye to eye politically, but we're brothers. Like he blessed me with my cauliflower ear, and I wear it as a badge of pride, you know.
To be able
And
to withstand underneath him or uh, under his hands. So yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome. I love that.
he beat the crap out of me. Every time he was punching me, I'm like, "You hit like a bitch." That's what I was telling him. And he kept on hitting me, and then he got tired hitting me, and then my ear lumped up. And now when I go out, I'm not a tough guy by no stretch of the imagination. But people see my ear and they're like, "Oh, he might be a tough guy." So I thank Sean for that. But I got my family back, and I saw you as a sister in
Oh
that
my
family.
gosh, I love that you said that. I love because that's exactly what it was to me too. So keep going. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
love that.
it was family. It was crazy guys. We trained, we punch each other, and when you're in combat, you really have no filter. I felt combat is the highest drug ever because you're your pure self. Any moment you could die. So to have that feeling again on the mats, it was wonderful. I never want to leave Hendos. I moved away from Temecula. I live in Tijuana now, but
Oh
I'm
no.
looking for a gym around here. Just can't find a good enough gym that
Well,
gives me
that's
the
hard
same
when you
feeling at
start at
Hendos.
dance.
Yeah, Dan's center was just it just worked. Isaiah's
Oh.
uh, a lot even him though. He gave me the needle to drain my ear. Sam is the one that drained my ear. it that whole experience is something that I cherish, and
Me
God
too.
forbid I get Alzheimer's. I'm never gonna forget my time at Hendo's. So we are, let's see, we're 30 minutes into the show. We're going to switch now more to the smoking and joking part. We have different segments, different game shows we run. This segment is
Gosh.
called this segment's called Bad Advice segment. So we're going to give you three different readings of advice. People are going to ask you advice, and they're all themed to be around fighting, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and you have to give your worst advice to them. Then after that, we're going to give you a chance to redeem your soul by hypothetical hijinks. You're going to get three scenarios. In these scenarios, you're going to say what you would do in the scenario. So you ready, Aubrey?
Yeah, I think so. I'm nervous.
All right, let me read the first one.
Okay.
Aubrey, help me out. I'm lactose intolerant. I drank a whole gallon of milk before my jujitsu session. What should I do? Bad advice only. Bad advice only.
Ask someone to put their knee on your belly.
Oh,
Hey,
okay,
can you just do a little knee on belly real quick?
okay.
You know how that
I
goes.
I know how that goes. Neon belly with lactose intolerance equals Matt being smelly. I'm gonna I'm gonna add to that. I say you should wear your whitest jujitsu gi. I also say that in between, you should keep your energy going by eating string cheese. It's gonna work out great. It's gonna work out great.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be amazing. Let me let me get to the second one. Oh, I like this one. Aubree, can you help me out? I got to the gym for a Muay Thai session and realized I left my mouth guard at home. What should I do?
Ask to be the mitt holder. Can I hold your pads? Bah.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever fought without your mouth guard?
I've been when holding the pads and I got kicked. Yeah, and yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Who was that
Have you?
guy? There was this
Have you?
short, bald-headed guy. Yeah, I got a chip tooth
Yeah, it's not.
right here from it. I know you remember the American Grizzly, Jason Shirley.
Yes, I love him. Is he the one that did?
I got no, I got my groin ripped by I pulled guard and he just did that little thing, the pride open the guard, ripped my groin. I was out the game for about 3 months. So I stopped pulling guard after that.
Especially with him. Huh?
Last
Woo!
last last one. My wife is 3 times bigger than me and she's training for a UFC match. Today the gym was closed, but I care about her a lot. I want to help her get training. What should I do? What's your bad advice?
Roll on the concrete.
Mm. We had some crazy guys in the Marine Corps. I'm gonna mention their name because they know they're crazy. A guy named Bennett, a guy named Salome, and a guy named Soto. We was in Okinawa, Japan, and I saw them in the chow hall. They had scars all over their face. One guy had his eye swollen. So I'm like, Soto, what the hell's going on? He said, "Oh, we went to the martial arts room. We just started punching each other in the face because we want to see if we could take punches." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a reason. There's a reason you guys in the infantry. You guys are dumb on top of dumb." Shout out Bennett if you're listening right now. You know this story's true. Salome was Salome was probably like 5'5". Grew up in Thailand. This guy was rock solid, and he was a Thai fighter. So I stayed
Okay,
out the martial art room a lot. Okay, so thank you for your bad advice.
you're welcome.
And when this show airs, people are gonna write their bad advice. We always say when we get to 1,000 views per episode, whoever has the worst advice is gonna get a mug with the Smoking Joking logo on it.
I love it. I
Okay,
can't wait to see what they say.
we got some crazy people that follow us. Shout out to Jimmy and Beth Kings.
I love it.
They run they run a site called Crayon Eater's Wife 1775, and they
Fantastic.
got some crazy stuff on their page. Okay, hypothetical hijinks. In the middle of a training session, the roof the roof opens, an alien spaceship shows up and starts beaming you and your training partner on board. What would you do in that situation?
I mean, we're fighters, man. Like we go balls to the wall. Yeah. I mean, we just here we come in all our glory. We don't back down, right? So
These is aliens, though. These is
that we
aliens.
don't, come on. We I have little man syndrome, so I'd be like, all right, we're doing this, let's do it.
Because they're aliens, I'm going to stay away from turtling. I'm going to stay away from any fight position that gives my back up because I know what aliens want. They're trying to probe everybody. Okay,
Okay, I didn't think
next.
of I didn't
Yeah.
think of that. I didn't think of that. You're right.
Next hypothetical hijinks. You you and your karate coach. I know we do MMA, but it says karate coach. You and your karate coach are at a bar and ninjas show up to fight till the death. What do you do in that situation?
I've never fought a ninja. Uh attempt a takedown?
Okay,
I
okay,
mean,
okay.
I've never I what would you do?
Ninjas, they exist in the shadows. So I just turn on all the lights, take away their power. Then I'm gonna see them coming. At least
Mhm.
that's what I understand when I watch Ninja Assassin. They exist in the shadows, so
No,
light is my friend.
that was
Yeah,
good. That was good. Mine
yeah.
was No, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. I didn't. You're right.
Okay, next situation. I'm a senior citizen, 62 years old. Every time I get punched in the liver, I pee a little bit.
Oh my
what, do you,
God.
what do you do in that situation? What do you do in that
I have
situation?
5 kids, so me too.
Grin and bear it. Is that what we doing?
You just gotta wear a pad to training. You just
Okay. Okay. Do you remember Richie Rodarte?
yeah.
I don't know what other people feel about him, but I
I
used
love.
to do bodyguard work. This you're gonna love this story then. I used to do bodyguard work for a company called Temple 57, and we would go with up and coming stars. They would go to bars and try to network, and we would have to be the bodyguard. So I found myself in Lancaster. If you know anything about Lancaster, Palmdale area, it's not the big city. So a lot of old fashioned ways of thinking exist. So I took my client to a bar and they were networking. And this guy, he rolled up and he was asking why I was looking at him.
Oh,
Just
good.
ignored him. He comes back with some other people and they start dropping all these racial slurs at me. And I would have knocked them out if they approached me, but it's just words at that point. I got a
Yeah.
job to do. So
Yeah.
I was pretty mad over that. Next day, I go into Hendo's, and the only one practicing, only one training around that time is Richie. So I tell Richie, "Hey, I just gotta fight somebody, bro. Like, I gotta fight somebody." So we hopped in the ring, and we had a slugfest. He didn't hold back. I didn't hold back. I left feeling better.
Yeah.
So shout out again. Shout out to Fight Therapy because
Yeah.
I really at that time, I knew these were guys I could have knocked out,
Yeah.
but if I would have done that, I probably wouldn't have had a job. But the anger was still real in me,
Yeah.
and going back to fight therapy, I think that fighting Richie Rodarte helped my therapy because I was able to let it go. So just
Yeah.
wanted to
No,
give Richie a shout out.
I love him. Shout out Richie. We love you. I wanna just add to that. I have a kid that he's a gang member, and I could see that he was just like angry, just like angry at life,
Mm-hmm.
and so I bugged him. I'm annoying. So I kept saying like, get on the mats, get on the mats, get on the mats. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And he's too cool for school.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm like, come on, come on, come on. And I could see me inside of him. Like I could see he just walks around just angry at life because it has just fucked him. And
mm-hmm.
I was like, please, like just, and I kept like annoying him. He finally got on the mat. And afterwards, he said the same thing. He said, "You are right. That helped me."
Yeah,
And he was smiling. And I said, "All I care about is that you're smiling now. Like, this is just one day. I wish I could bring it to you every day because we didn't have the funding to bring
yeah,
it every day, which we're working on. But that's what I fight for because of what you just said. Like these kids go through that too. They're racially profiled. A lot of them got involved in gangs because their families are in gangs. And the beautiful thing about gang members that people don't understand is like when you help their children, they want to help you. They're not
yeah,
typically horrible people. They do horrible things, but they're actually some really great people. And they want you to help their kids. They want you to like, because they don't want their kids to be like them. And a lot of them just do because that's the way that things go. And if you can help, they don't know better. Like I don't know how to really explain it, but other than that, but when we give them we open give them a new perspective, right? Like, hey, actually, let us take your kids and give them this positive thing and help them grow in this thing. And then obviously, just jujitsu and martial arts, just do it. It's thing. It just does it. No one has to talk about it. No one has to, like you said. You didn't have to talk. You didn't have words. Just
Yeah.
gloves. And then what? You
Yeah.
felt better. But
Yeah.
it made you knew you went through, I don't want to lose my job. I don't like it makes you rationally think.
Hmm.
And you're not really rationally thinking. Like and again, I have succumbed to my anger and I have gotten in a lot of trouble because of my anger and I've made poor decisions where my job, my kids, like, I just saw my anger and I suffered the consequences for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and and I wasn't training. I wasn't training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And um it and I've been mocked for it. Oh, she says jujitsu helps her. And I'm like, do you want to see what it looks like when I'm not training? you want to see what this shit show looks like when I'm not doing a martial art? Like, I fully believe. I love that you said that. So our biggest battle is the giving people knowledge about, we're not teaching bad kids how to fight because that's what they say, right? Oh, you're a
Yeah.
criminal.
Yeah.
And then they can hurt us and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, it is the Narcan to fighting. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you, this is actually going to make them have more respect for you, more control,
Hmm.
more discipline, more. I'm like, I promise you, you're always, always, always going to have a douchebag that takes advantage of it. But that's in everything. That's officers. That's school
Yeah.
teachers. That's pastors. That's bishops.
Yeah.
That's anybody with power. Someone's going to misuse it, and we can't not offer it to everybody else because a few douchebags. And you can't. You don't.
Yeah.
When a teacher uses his power and molests a little kid, you go, "We're not having school anymore. Fuck it.
No more
We're not,
teachers.
no more
Yeah.
teachers." When a
Yeah.
religious person does it, you don't go, "We can't have any more church services." It's not
We're
happening.
done with religion, guys.
We're
We're
done
no
with
more
religion.
religion.
It's over.
Yeah.
He put his penis in it. You know what I mean? Like, so why are you doing it with this? Because you view it as violent. It's
Yeah.
and that's unfortunate. So
In the infantry, one of my best friends in life, his name is DeMarcus Reed. He's actually the host of this show. I get upset with him because he's not hosting right now, but he says something important. He's studying on his doctorate, so shout out Reed.
we'll give him a little excuse.
I'll give him a little excuse.
Yeah.
He said something important about post traumatic stress. He said a lot of Marines, a lot of veterans that went through combat, if you dive into the life before they got to the military, you'll find out that they were dealing with traumatic things before. And it's true. I was born in Africa in Liberia. And I remember before I got separated from my family, I felt like I was a prince. I remember riding on my dad's shoulders. I just remember being loved. I crack this joke all the time. I said everybody in the village was breastfeeding me. It was great. it was wonderful. And then a civil war started in my country. Then around three years old, I was shipped over to America. I haven't seen my mom since. And it took me a long time to see my dad again. And when I was in America, I had a big African accent growing up. I got beat up so much. I was 8 years old and I got stomped out on a bus by three 12-year-olds in the sixth grade, and they were calling me a nigga, African booty scratcher, beat me over the head with a book, and I even threw up. And the bus driver just kept on driving like nothing was happening. That's what got me into
Oof.
wanting to learn how to protect myself and fight. And what I noticed is when I went to the Marine Corps, when I went to the infantry, my story wasn't as unique because my buddies grew up getting abused. My buddies grew up getting beat through the foster system by having parents. When I met my dad again, my dad had PTSD. I didn't know at the time because I didn't understand what PTSD was, but my dad had made it through a civil war where one day you're living in paradise, and the next day there's dead bodies all over the street, and he's just trying to get to his only son. So when I met my dad, I didn't really like him because he was going through severe PTSD, and he could have raised me different. But now being 41, I understand what he was going through. And he's a completely different guy right now. It just seemed growing up, though, I really had nobody in my corner to really understand me and went through a lot of scrapes. When you talk about gang violence, Sacramento, we don't really have gangs like that. It's just different sets of different cliques, and you fight all the time as a young man in Sacramento and you rob people. So I went through a lot of crime growing up. What changed my life was getting into martial arts because when you're learning these deadly techniques, you have a lot of respect when you understand what you can do to somebody and you're able to say, okay, if I wanted to, I could take this guy's life, but it's just words right now. So I'm not gonna stoop down to his level and take his life. I'm gonna protect myself if I have to, but other than that, I'll give him a pass. Your fear meter isn't as high, and you don't react out of fear. You react out of understanding more. So I like what fight therapy does because it seems like these kids that I can relate with that are dealing with anxiety and fear, they have a way to now deal with understanding on their situation. So shout out to you, Aubree. Big shout out.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Uh, I everything that you just said just it's hard for me to hear, and I want you to know that I know it's too late for you, but I'm fighting for that, and I'm fighting for you as a little boy. So, you know, I know it's too late. Damage is done, and you've healed and everything, but um, it's hard. Sorry, it's hard for me. I'm so sorry.
I sweat is okay. I sweat is okay.
It's hard. It's hard for me to hear that. The bus driver just sat and let that happen while you're throwing up. Like, um, I know what that feels like, and I don't know why people are so scared to do what's right. It's so weird to me. I I'm not that strong. I'm not. I'm a female. I'm I'm not that great of a fighter. I do not fucking understand what is so hard about doing what's right. Like, I don't understand why people's opinions, and like people always say they admire me, for standing up for what's right. And I'm like, and I have some incredible opportunities in my life right now, like some fucking crazy incredible opportunities. And I will always pick a child over. I don't care if you don't like me, because that's the thing. People don't want to get, oh, I don't want to get involved in the drama. Uh, you have a fucking little boy throwing up. What is wrong with you? That
Yeah.
that should, what? Who
Yeah.
cares? Who cares if you lose your fucking job? Who cares if you find another one? Do you want to be a part of that even?
Yeah.
I it it's so hard for me to hear. And I am so sorry that even, like, I know it happens all the time. It's happening to
Yep.
my baby boy right now. Um and mm, I want you to know that I'm fighting for you as a little boy. I'm fighting for you. And um I don't care what I lose. The greatest people were murdered: Martin Luther King,
Yeah.
Malcolm X, um, um, uh, Nelson Mandela was in prison. Like, I'm not scared. I'm not. I you know I'm. I don't care about opportunity. I don't care who stands by my side. I don't care. Like, I could never sit and watch that shit ever.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart how many people can. It's insane.
It's fear. It's fear, right? It's there's always like there's fear and understanding. You can make
Woo,
a decision
that was
out of
heavy.
fear.
I wasn't ready for that.
you
Sorry.
you going back to fight therapy. When Pancho is explaining how to do technique, or when Isaiah is showing, how to set a trap or how to work in the clinch, or even if you go to your local judo club or karate club, It's different from being in a boxing gym. And I always tell people this. I've been in boxing gyms before, and boxing isn't really self defense. It's a sport that you learn. Yes, it's fighting, but it's not really a self defense that you're learning. When you go to a martial arts gym, it's self defense that you're learning. It's sometimes it's the ultimate self defense, because your life is in danger. Your life, you could argue, is in danger in a boxing ring, but you got a ref there that's going to be saying, "Hey, don't hit behind the head," and you could lose your life, but it's not the same thing as being on a bus having to fight off three kids, or it's not the same as I used to go to a kung fu school in Sacramento called Eastern Ways Choi Li Fut Kung Fu. And this lady was explaining how these guys tried to get her into a van after a wedding ceremony she went to. And she used the techniques to fight them off and run to safety. So that's completely different from being in the ring to fight for a belt or fight for a prize. And I think martial arts breeds people on average that are more respectful,
Yeah.
more humble, more able to connect and assess situations better. And that's probably why mixed martial artists don't get paid as much as boxers. Boxers that I've seen are very cocky. They It's all about entertainment, it's all about prize fighting. You go to a boxing gym, no one bows before you enter the square circle. No one bows before you do anything in the boxing gym. But before you step on the mat, you're going to bow before you step on the mat because you're understanding that this goes way beyond just sports. This is something, even sometimes, that gets on a spiritual level. If you're trying to work your way out of a rear naked choke, chances are if you don't work your way out the rear naked choke, you're taking a nap. So
Yes.
your mind has to be in a different place, right? And I just love the idea of fight therapy
I love
because that's
everything.
why I turned to martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we turn to martial arts, right? Being an insecure African kid that's getting beat up just for being an immigrant, just for being African. I didn't ask to come to America.
You
I
didn't
didn't
ask
ask
to
to
be
be separated.
African.
I
You
didn't
didn't
ask to
ask to
be
be.
African. None of that. But after learning martial arts and finally being able to fight back, people like, yeah, don't mess with Theo. He knows some stuff.
Yeah.
So martial arts became my identity for a long time. And I would like to get my daughters into martial arts just because I'm a divorcee. I was married for 15 years, then lost a lot of money opening my own business. Then played a country song. Up next was my wife, the dog, the house, everything. So I
Feel that.
building a relationship with my daughters, I just want them to have the confidence that martial arts gives them because not having a dad in the home, I'm not a chick, but I didn't have a dad in the home for a while. And I can imagine not having a dad in the home adds a whole level of insecurity and anxiety to a little girl that martial arts could help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have that coach and you have that, like, like, I don't know if you remember this, but Poncho used to always say, like, if I see you fighting on the streets, you won't be able to train here.
Yeah.
And I think at one point there was, a kid that did get caught fighting, and he did get asked to leave. And and then Poncho lost a student getting stabbed, and I don't remember if you remember, but he was like crying on the mats, and he was like, "This is why I tell you guys, come in here and fight. Like, it's controlled, like, and I
Mhm.
just, all of those things just in my mind, like, stuck like glue, like, he took someone's belt and, demoted him. And I was just like, just stuff like that. Like, no one had ever held me accountable that was like, hey, I'd always just
Yeah.
done whatever the fuck I wanted. And like, and
Yeah.
it was like, this guy cares. Like, this is crazy. And I
Yeah.
felt like I had this, like, father. I mean, we're like the same age, so I didn't think of him like a dad by any means, but like, it was like that, like a fatherly kind of, like, someone gives a shit
Yeah.
that I'm being stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved that. Like, no one had ever cared that I was being stupid. I mean, they did, but they just wanted me in trouble. This person wanted me to grow. And I was like,
Yeah.
Man, like I love that, and I would go back to I want to go back to I know it's almost over, but I want to go back to what you're saying because I love it. I do see the discipline in boxing. I have a lot of friends, who are boxers. They're professional boxers, famous, and
Yeah.
I do see the discipline in it, and I do, and we actually joke with each other all the time because they're like, "You do gay shit," and I'm like, like whatever, yeah. And I always say, "Come here, and I'll show you how gay I am. Come here,"
Yeah.
and so we joke with each other and stuff because obviously they're like, "You're not a man if you're not standing up," and I'm like, "Yeah, come here, let me show you real quick," and
Yeah.
so my friends who do Muay Thai, like we just joke with each other. But I do see the value in it, and like the Mike Tyson, I know there are success stories, and the government does do, boxing, and they accept it a lot more than jujitsu, but it's because of what you said.
Yeah.
They see jujitsu so much more aggressive because it does have the power to kill you, and
Yeah.
which is so crazy because striking seems so much more violent, right? Like but I agree that I feel like it's better for these kids because it does teach I know boxing has the discipline, but everything you said is just so true. And it's more for your mind and
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of jujitsu guys that are like, I mean, there are a few that are like, they talk shit and blah blah blah. But look, Marigali, I think it was Marigali, I don't remember, but I think it was him, got DQ'd for flipping someone off during IBJJF Worlds. Like there is a lot of respect. They demand a
A
lot of
lot of
respect in
respect.
that
Yeah.
sport. You know what I mean? And like these kids are watching that, like, look,
Hmm.
the best of the best was DQ'd for flipping someone off. Yes, because we're gonna hold our sport accountable and we are about respect and discipline and we mean it. I love
Yeah.
that. And I just want you to know that I am going to take away. I love that you said, and it was the way you said it, and I'm going to watch this back. It was the way you said it about the self defense, and I can't remember specifically how you worded it, but I'm going to watch this back, and I'm going to take that into my foundation because that is exactly what I'm trying to do for these kids. No one has protected these kids. No one has defended these kids. And I want to teach them how to defend themselves. And I'm not just talking about physically. I'm talking about, I want to show them how to be an advocate so that no one can harm them, whether it's a teacher, probation officer, I don't care who the person is, how they can defend themselves in a life because that these kids get abused by people in power and authority, and it is
Hmm.
because they don't have anybody behind them. And so thank you for that, because I'm going to take that into my foundation forever.
Let me just switch the lower third real quick so they can see your name again.
Me.
Okay, so this is the wrap up.
Okay.
We got about, because we're gonna edit, so this is probably gonna be like 55 minutes. But this is a wrap up, so we just want to give you a chance to in our session close out anything you want people to know that's watching this. How can they get involved with fight therapy? How can we support fight therapy? And then we're gonna close out after that.
Okay, so our website is finally up. We are at fighttherapyfoundation.org. We have currently um, partnered with a foundation called Olive Crest. They serve over 3,000 children a month, and we are looking for donations to support that. Right now, we are trying to raise 267,000. That is our goal for right now. We will start with the kids of the group home and in their school. Obviously, we want to grow from there and serve all 3,000 of their kids, but that will require $1 million a month. We will get there,
Mm.
but so for now, we just need 267,000 to start. That'll give us 8 months. That'll finish out their school year, and then that'll give us 8 months with the kids in the group homes.
Outstanding. So you guys hear that? I want everyone watching this video to support, 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 because Aubree is actually making the future generation better, more respectful, wiser, and safer. You guys, this has been another episode of Smoking and Joking. I am your guest host, Theophilus Tour. And in the comments, I want you guys to bug the hell out of Reed to come back because Reed is the best host that we've had on the show. Aubree,
You're
thank you for taking time out your day. I do what I can. Thank you for taking time out your day to share with us, to really be sincere. You know, we need more sincere people in this world. And I definitely count you as family. And you have a wonderful day.
I love you so much. Thank you for having me on here, and
Love you too, Aubree.
soon.
I think my phone does the hard thing. Oh, it's not doing the hard thing. All right, bye, Aubree.
Bye.
Okay, I'm gonna end the recording.